This is Real News Media TV, coverage you can trust. Please like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Select all for daily news updates. 12-year-old perishes in St. James house fire. Detectives assigned to the St. James Police are probing the circumstances surrounding the death of a child as a result of a fire at her house in Salters Hill, Johns Hall on Monday. She has been identified as 12-year-old Hemicia Greenwood. The police report that about 2 p.m., a relative who was at the premises with Greenwood reportedly saw smoke coming from the house and alerted the police. The Montego Bay Fire Department was also contacted. When the cooling down operation subsided, Greenwood's charred remains were discovered among the debris. The scene was processed and the body removed to the morgue. Thieves leave man in underwear. A St. Mary man was left in his boxers by robbers who ordered him into a car and robbed him of his shorts. The victim, 23, was reportedly standing along Gulf Road in Prospect when a car drove up. Police reports indicate that a man in the car brandished a knife and ordered the victim into the vehicle. It is reported that the car sped off as soon as the young man got inside. The occupants of the vehicle robbed him of an iPhone 11 valued at $140,000, $2,000 cash, and the shorts he was wearing before they released him. Police are yet to ascertain a suspect in the case, which is among a string of robberies being carried out throughout the island by criminals in motor vehicles. Last Tuesday, 3 days before the robbers stole the man's shorts, criminals struck in the same area. The victim on that occasion was a 20-year-old student. In that incident, the victim took a blue Mark X motor car believed to be a taxi in Ochorea, St. Anne, and was intended to get to Port Maria. Upon reaching along the Prospect to Main Road, the vehicle reportedly diverted onto the Prospect Gulf Road. The victim was reportedly told by the driver that he was leaving the passenger on that road. However, shortly thereafter, the driver stopped the car and a male passenger pulled out a handgun and proceeded to rob the student. The brutes took his Samsung Note 20 cell phone, which is valued at $120,000, 2 bank cards, and $400 cash before speeding off, leaving the youngster on the roadway. At least 2 similar incidents were reported in the corporate area last week. Reports reaching the news are that a 23-year-old man was walking along Russell Heights, Kingston 8 at about 6 p.m. when 2 men, one armed with a knife and the other with a gun, who were traveling in a gray Subaru Impreza motor car, demanded that he enter the motor car. The man complied and was robbed of an iPhone valued at $70,000 and 1 white Apple Air phone valued at $20,000. The men drove away from the scene with their victim, who they later released in the halfway tree area of St. Andrew. Police to open 6 domestic violence intervention centers across the island. The Jamaica Constabulary Force says that 6 additional domestic violence intervention centers will be opened this year as part of its plans to bolster its capacity to respond to instances of domestic violence. In a statement today, Commissioner of Police Major General Anthony Anderson said the JCF recognized that during the COVID-19 pandemic, people in abusive situations may be in an even greater need than before. The stress of the economic downturn has affected many negatively, and the restrictions on movement have forced people into close quarters for protracted periods, he said. According to the JCF, the centers will be hosted and managed at selected police stations where professional volunteers counsel people involved in domestic conflict. The 4 existing centers at Constant Spring, Matilda's Corner, Morant Bay, and Yallas police stations saw over 1,500 referrals in 2020, the JCF said. The JCF added that over 300 supervisors and managers have had DVI training since 2020, with 168 in the last 3 months as they go through their development courses. This is in addition, the police said, to the mandatory domestic violence module in place for all police recruits in basic training at the National Police College. We have established a national coordination unit within the Community Safety and Security Branch that will capture data, ensure standardization, and interfere with external partners, the Commissioner noted. We are strengthening the existing processes and procedures for dealing with domestic violence and have instituted additional reporting and accountability measures. Each station commander is required to pay particular attention to domestic violence cases within their policing area and report daily to the DVI liaison officer within the division so that these reports can be appropriately monitored, he added. While increasing access to DVI centers and facilitators is important, it is critical for every police station to be a safe and welcoming space. We have a duty of care to provide protection to those seeking our help. We must respond appropriately to all reports of domestic violence, remain professional, and refrain from making any judgmental utterances, the police commissioner said. It is unacceptable that any member of the public in need of assistance is discouraged by an uncaring attitude or poor service. Such matters brought to my attention have been dealt with decisively. Where there are deviations from the standards, commanders have been directed to take swift disciplinary action. To this end, any person who feels that they are not being attended to satisfactorily can report this to our Internal Investigations Branch, the Inspectorate and Professional Standards Oversight Bureau by calling or messaging 876-838-3084. 4 men in custody after shootout with cops. 4 men have been taken into custody following a shootout with the police in Four Paths, Clarendon on Monday afternoon. The incident followed an armed robbery in Manchester, culminating at the intersection of the Bustamante Highway and the Four Paths Main Road, where the gunmen alighted the getaway vehicle and engaged the police in a battle. According to the police, the men had committed 2 cases of robbery in the Manchester area and in their bid to escape were cornered in Clarendon. Commanding officer for the Manchester Police Division, Superintendent Gary Francis, said an alert was sent out and the police, upon making several inquiries, spotted a vehicle fitting the description of the getaway vehicle in the porous area and signaled them to stop. The driver disobeyed and were pursued by the cops into Clarendon. All 4 men, 2 of whom have been injured, are all from corporate area addresses. A quantity of stolen items have been recovered, the police said. We continue to appeal to the citizens to engage us early and to say to the would-be robbers that we have no space in Area 3 for them, and if they come into our space to commit robberies, they will be caught and be brought to justice, Superintendent Francis warned. The commanding officer noted that the police has recognized that in recent times a number of crimes have been committed by outsiders, and so the team has had to strengthen its border patrols to ensure that they reduce, minimize, and eliminate this type of occurrence. We have also realized that the registration plates on the vehicle do not correspond, which would indicate that the robbers want to deceive both their victims and the police, but we continue to police our space with a level of alertness and to reassure our citizens and also to say to the would-be robbers that we have no place in Area 3 for robbers, he said. Please remember to like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Select all for daily news updates.